Carlo, Soresina. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Lars. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll try to be brief. I know it's the last session, so you're all probably looking forward to your beer. So, I'm the founder of a company called Skipso. It's actually an internet startup, and what we do is we help Cleantech startups all over the world go to market faster. The presentation, this is actually a brief background. I don't want to bore you, but I have a business background, and I started in consulting, and then I worked for a startup and then for a larger corporate. So before starting my own company, I saw sort of the nice things of both smaller companies and larger corporates. But really what I want to talk to you about today is not really, I'll use my company as a case study, but it's really to talk to you about open innovation. And I would like actually to ask you, I'd be interested in knowing who of you is familiar with the term open innovation? So not many. And who has actually been involved in an open innovation project directly? Well. So this is quite is indicative actually of the fact that it's still not mainstream, obviously, although it's a very, very interesting trend. So I'd like to talk to you about open innovation and how open innovation can be used by clean tech companies, startups, and larger companies to accelerate their growth. So here's a guy who actually was probably a pioneer in open innovation, and although probably he didn't call it open innovation at his time, but the fact that he used to say that there are many great ideas outside. So it's probably a myth, the fact that most inventions and innovations are the result of one guy and one entrepreneur and one innovator. It's usually more a team effort, a collaborative effort, and this is actually what open innovation is about. But let me start from the boring, academic, if you want, way of explaining open innovation. And I have to do this because this guy, Henry Chesbury, is the guy who came up with the term open innovation. So the way he sees it is actually like firstly he describes the traditional closed innovation. Imagine a product development funnel turned sideways, and imagine the traditional way of innovating where ideas go from one side in a very linear process all the way to the end, and there's no real interaction with the outside, a very closed and inside environment. Now this is being challenged today, and there are many companies embracing this new principle of open innovation where the same funnel has many paths in and out. So the fact that more and more today companies have the opportunity to tap into external resources and expertise to innovate, and also to use some of their internal innovation that is sitting there untapped by pushing it outside through licensing, joint ventures. So it's a much more complex process, but in a way the key thing here is that everyone today has the opportunity to tap into resources not only within their company but outside. So there's a whole world out there with expertise and experts and partners that could actually help you innovate faster. And this is what innovation is about. But this is probably a more simple definition, which is the fact that out there are probably more smart people than within your company. Certainly you have very smart people within your company, and you're very smart yourself. But imagine being able to tap into experts, innovators, scientists, researchers, suppliers all over the world. So this is a really powerful concept. But let me give you an example, a few examples actually. This is fascinating for me. You might be familiar with this example. Goldcorp Corporation, a gold mine in Canada, in Vancouver. This guy, Rob McEwen, the founder, ex-chairman and CEO, he was probably one of the first guys who really applied the open innovation concept. So he was sitting on a gold mine, literally, but he didn't know exactly where the gold was. So he was sitting on a fortune, and he didn't know where to dig exactly to find the gold. So what he did, he was inspired by the founder of Linux, the open source software, and he basically said, why don't I put all my geological data, like 50 years worth of data, on the internet, available to everyone. So this is what he did. This was back in 2000, and he put a price of $575,000 to whoever was able to, by using this data, to help him find the gold in this gold mine in Red Lake in Ontario. The result was astonishing. So he actually got like about 1,000 people from all over the world, and in the end actually 2 guys in Australia without even having been on the site, they were able to provide the answers that allowed them to find 100 sites, 50% actually were new. And the result was actually 6 billion in value that was created. So it's a fascinating example, and actually this guy wasn't a miner himself, so he was a banker. So in a way he challenged the existing way of thinking, so many people were skeptical, but the results were astonishing. Here's a more recent example. Everyone knows GE, the Eco-Imagination, and recently they launched a $200 million fund to stimulate and encourage ideas in smart grid. And the result was again astonishing. Obviously here there was a massive fund, so a lot of money was put in the pot, and hundreds of entrepreneurs, innovators, companies from all over the world submitted their ideas, and a lot of them are being funded. And GE more and more, via this channel of Eco-Imagination, they want to use this idea of open innovation to encourage people outside to provide them with the answers. So this is one of the key things, and I don't want to go into the detail, but obviously to apply open innovation, the idea is that a company has to change a lot, and not only larger corporates, but also smaller companies, and I'll show you later an example of one of our customers that applied open innovation. But the fact that in order to embrace open innovation, a company obviously has to change. It's a paradigm shift, it's a mentality shift, it's a whole change in organization to being flat, less hierarchical, open their borders, more distributed. So it's a big change. It's not a change that you do overnight. And very quickly, I don't want to bore you on this part, but I think it's very important because technology we see as a big enabler. And we being the enabler because we are an internet company supporting this process, it's key, I think, just to touch on a couple of points. So in the last 3-4 years, the internet has evolved dramatically. Erwin was talking about cloud computing, which obviously is a massive change in the way that startups and companies can begin with lower costs. But also the web has changed in that it's much more interactive, it allows collaboration in a much more intelligent way. So the term Web 2.0 is a term that has been used a lot, so it's not new, but it's the idea that the web is more semantic in nature, that you can actually map the expertise of people and map these connections in a very intelligent way. So this is very important because it allows all sorts of transactions. And in this sort of Web 2.0 environment, there are hundreds and thousands of little startups that are developing little applications that are helping very specific parts of the innovation process. The key for us, from our perspective, is using the web as a platform to do business and to help our customers do business. And there are some key elements that we think are very important. The fact that the web is a platform, is a channel for companies to support their process. The fact that the collective intelligence element, the fact that it's more about people being connected not only within your organization but within other organizations, within other countries, and the web is enabling this collective intelligence. The fact that using technologies like semantic web, you can actually extrapolate a lot of data, so you can actually find experts and companies with very simple or complex algorithms, but which can make your life much easier. And the fact that there are a number of tools also that make the user experience much, in a way, easier and user-friendly than a few years ago. But again, the web is just a tool, an enabler. But let me tell you how we leverage sort of the web and apply to open innovation in the Cleantech space. So what Skipso is an online platform, and we help companies, Cleantech companies, do 3 things. One is seek solutions to their business or technical or scientific problems by leveraging the open innovation principle applied to a number of areas. Secondly is get funded. So we know that a lot of startups and companies, obviously, particularly in the Cleantech space, funding is a big problem. And we are facilitating that process by aggregating grants, funding opportunities, and finding investors all over using our platform and aggregating them on our platform. And also, the third thing is commercializing the product. So a lot of these companies, these Cleantech startups, they have great products and they need to push them. And we provide a channel to do that on a global scale. And again, the channel it will never replace this sort of environment. So we obviously complement what Cleantech Business Club is doing very well offline. So how do we do this? So we have developed our platform, and we are licensing our platform to clusters, universities, incubators, and associations around the world who use our platform to do two things. So on one hand, we basically allow this sort of environment, sort of imagine an intranet for the Cleantech Business Club environment to extend the collaboration not only physically within a room but also beyond that. So imagine a LinkedIn type environment, if you're familiar with LinkedIn, but an online environment to enable collaboration. But the big thing is that we enable the sort of extranet. So we connect Cleantech Business Club with other clusters around the world that are part of our network. So we just did a deal with Cleantech Finland, which is all the Finnish community on Cleantech, or Cleantech San Diego. So our idea is basically to build this massive infrastructure to enable Cleantech innovation. And with all this ecosystem that we're putting in place, which gives us access to companies, providers, investors, entrepreneurs, researchers, we enable matchmaking using the open innovation principle. So exactly like Goldcorp applied open innovation to find solutions to find gold, we actually have a similar process applied to clean tech related problems. So the process of the open innovation is similar to the one I explained before. So the company with a problem puts a cash award to which can be any size depending on the value they put on that specific project, and this project gets promoted within our ecosystem of partners and clusters and suppliers and researchers and universities. And the idea is to enable the matchmaking. And maybe, you know, there's a person or a company in the US or in Africa or in Asia that might be the company that has a solution to what what you're looking for. And actually the way that we apply this is not only purely to R&D, because we're applying the same principle to any problem that a company might have in the Cleantech space. So it might be a company looking for ideas, to brainstorm ideas on new products, or obviously R&D is a typical one. Also to look for suppliers, so our RFP process is to look for partners, suppliers, and or also personnel or business partners. So it's with the same principle. We try to provide a full set of services to help these companies go to market faster. And here's an example of one of many that we did. But this is important, I think, because before I spoke about GE and Goldcorp, which are large corporates. But we believe this is a massive opportunity for smaller companies that don't have necessarily a big budget to do R&D in-house. So this is a small, relatively small company in the illumination space, and they approached us looking for a more energy efficient LED-based solution. So they were looking for a technology partner in the space. So today the way they do it, there are 3 big lighting shows in the world, one in Dubai, one in Frankfurt, and one in Las Vegas. And they usually pay like 10,000–20,000 euros per show to have a big stand and meet partners, meet suppliers. So what we did is we created a project where they specified exactly what they were looking for in terms of the technical requirements. This project was posted on our website, on our platform. They put a 10,000 cash award if we enable the matchmaking to happen successfully. And the project got pushed through our partner network. And at the end of the process, you can see, you know, there were it was quite specific, obviously. So it wasn't like a mass participation because there were only a few people in that space. But still, 18 different countries and experts submitting solutions. And in the end, they selected 3 companies: one in Canada, one in the UK, and one in a scientist actually in Palo Alto, the specific LED-based innovation. So, and now they're in discussions. So this is the power of the model. And we have done other projects, and I can tell you some of the other examples we did.